stream where we are going to talk about the super interesting and ever fascinating topic of document management. And I think this is actually something that that matters a bit because Scrivener is really useful for long-term complex projects. And one of the features of long-term and complex projects is that these projects have a lot of documents. So what I want to do is I want to open a paper that I'm working on. Actually, it's a revision, and the due date is Monday. No pressure. And I want to quickly go through my research here section of the Scrivener file. Okay, and the reason I want to do that is to show you how I store documents for to help me write a paper, and what documents do I keep in Scrivener and what documents don't I keep in Scrivener. Okay, so briefly, what I keep in Scrivener are previous versions of the paper, previous manuscripts, so the paper that I sent to the journal in one piece, and then I keep a history of notes, figures, mind maps, and so on. And finally, I keep all of the sections of the paper that I wrote but were significantly rewritten. And what I'm going to do is to explain a little bit why I do that. Two things that I don't keep are the papers that I read for to write a specific article. So if you go to bookends, I use a reference management software to do that, specifically bookends. So you can see here's the software that I use, and I have this software allows me to sort of color code papers. So all of the papers that I read are in this for one paper are in a list here. So I have different lists of papers for different articles that I'm writing. Okay, so I keep those in the reference software, and I don't import it into Scrivener. You could do this. For me, it's just a lot of unnecessary redundancy and also increasing Scrivener's file sizes unnecessarily. Okay, so what does my research folder look like? So I have the notes. We've already discussed that. Notes for the current papers. I have the historic of figures. So these are all of the figures that I've done for the paper. None of these are in the current paper, although they're quite pretty and maybe should be in the current paper, but they're not. So these are all of the figures that I did. I keep this because they help me sort of track how my thought about the paper changed, and eventually go back to some good ideas if I'm stuck in with a revise or resubmit comment. I have also all the mind maps, and obviously, again, this is the power of Scrivener that you can just snap a picture and that's a mind map. But it can also be something that you did in some application, or even screen grabs of Scrivener's own corkboard. Okay. Again, the idea here is to keep a track record of how my ideas have evolved. Sometimes there are good ideas there that I want to look at in subsequent papers, and sometimes there are good ideas there that are useful when a revision. A reviewer letter asks you to go back to some idea that you had in the past. Okay, so I also keep those. I keep deleted sections because sometimes this can be useful for future papers. So these are things that are not stupid; they're just outside of the current frame of the paper, but I may want to use them for future papers. Old sections, same thing. Auxiliary documents are just documents that I, where I need to write some text, but these are trashed after each revision of paper. I have all of the reviews for the paper, the current reviews and the past reviews. Again, sometimes if I'm stuck in a request from a reviewer, maybe past reviewers have helped in suggesting a way out of it. So this, I have one set of reviews from the journal, but I have 2 reviews from conferences, which may help in different ways. And then we go into the core of the archives, which is all of my previous drafts. Okay, so basically what I do is I create a folder and I put all of the sections of the paper that I have in the draft folder of Scrivener and the notes. Okay, so you'll see here we are, just mimicking this structure, and then the notes. Okay, so I start a new set of notes for each revision of a paper. Why do I keep previous drafts? Again, because sometimes reviewers ask you to do things that you took out of previous versions of the paper. Obviously, the draft before your current review round is useful because you can compare the changes that you make and whether those changes are effective enough. And it's just nice to have a history of the paper. And then previous manuscripts, I have to say, this is, very much a feel-good part of my research folder. I just like it to see that, I have submitted this, and, you just look at your past accomplishments. It's maybe a little self-serving, but it is cool. So I do keep those around. So that's it. That's how I keep my files in Scrivener. I have 2 other places that I keep files. One is my note-taking application. So I'll just quickly show you. So for each revision of a paper, I have a document in a note-taking application, normally that I have on my iPad. And this is just to think. These are just thoughts. So I don't put these into Scrivener. This is just to help me think. They're normally then translated into outlines in Scrivener or some specific notes in Scrivener, but I just keep them around. This is because sometimes for me it's just easier to think with a pen, or maybe it just helps me with my lack of self-confidence in writing, that I'm just writing some notes. So definitely I do that. And then I have a folder with all of my manuscripts. There we go. And here I keep the parts of manuscripts that cannot go into or cannot be done in Scrivener. And these are normally tables and figures. So this one, I actually have the text already pasted, but you can see the tables here and the figures here. Okay, and I do keep these because obviously they, several of these don't change dramatically from one paper to another, and they take some time to do, so I'll just keep them and copy paste them and then edit them. Okay, so basically 4 different buckets for documents for my papers. One is Scrivener, which has all of my previous drafts, notes, and mind maps. Another one is Bookends, or your reference management software. I keep a list of the papers that I read for that article, color-coded according to how important and useful they are. Then this folder with Word documents that basically has all of the documents that cannot be done in Scrivener. Again, tables and figures. Scrivener can do tables, but sometimes I'm working with relatively complex tables, and because I do figures as well, it's just easier to do it in Word. And then my note-taking, handwriting software that synchronizing with the iPad. So these are notes that I jotted on the iPad and then transferred here. Where, if I need to think and write a little bit, then I will use this. Okay. Hope this was useful for everybody, and I'll catch you on the next stream. This week, our stream will be, let me check, it's not going to be on Thursday, because I'm traveling on Thursday. So it will be on Friday. Okay, so I'll see you on Friday at 1 p.m. Until then, good luck in all your writing. Bye-bye, everybody.